You're listening to the Awaken Radio Network. Visit the station's website at www.awakenradio.net. Our navigation links are located at the top of the page under the banner. Visit our forums to converse with our hosts. See who our guests will be on the interview page. You can join in the conversations on our live chat room page. Thank you for listening to Awaken Radio Network. Awaken Radio Network is a radio station focused on reminding you how powerful you are. Our hosts share on self-healing, politics, UFOs, spiritual awakening, and everything in between. Join us in the chat room at awakenradio.net or listen on your mobile device through tunein.com. Awaken Radio Network is brought to you by our advertisers, sponsors, hosts, and listeners like you. Shop at our on-site store and make donations to the station. Visit awakenradio.net to chat, shop, and donate. Thank you for keeping the energy flowing and the growth going.
Welcome to Your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and this show is about everything intuition. And it's brought to you by intuitionbyrob.net. Hello, this is Ragozzine speaking. This is Your Unfolding Senses. We're here to talk about everything intuition, exploring your full intuitive sensory capabilities. And to join us tonight, come to awakenedradio.net, click on the live chat tab if you're not already in there, or call us at 334-649-7204, or add Awakened Radio to Skype and call us up and you're more than welcome to ask a dream question or talk about the tarot or any kind of intuitive scenarios that you've been involved with this week. Today we'll be talking about relationships and a little bit more about the tarot and compassion from last week. We'll be continuing, but we'll be focusing on relationships, especially relationships with ourselves. When you're not listening to yourself, how can you connect to your intuition? But first, we'll do a simple meditation to settle in and relax and bring some calm in and let go of some of the nervous energy from the day. So making sure you're lying down or sitting comfortably and closing your eyes, and slowly begin to take gentle breaths and releasing any stress and gently connecting with a deep sense of inner knowing, inner calm, inner tranquility. You may have a question in mind that you'd like to connect to find an answer to. Feel free to do that. But continue breathing gently, releasing stress, and allow the tranquility and calm to fill your body. Believe, feel, and know that your answers are within, and spend some time here connecting to your body and your senses. Allow whatever comes into your perception to come. It might be a symbol, or a word, or a phrase, perhaps an answer to another question that you didn't ask. Whatever it is, that's okay. If nothing comes, that's okay. Continue gently breathing and relaxing and noticing whatever comes to your attention. Perhaps your shoulders feel tight. You can breathe into them and release the tension that's being held there. Perhaps you'll notice that you're not feeling comfortable in the chair. You can get up and lie down, or you can stand up and sit in a chair again. It's all okay. Just allowing yourself to feel calm, feel relaxed, connected to yourself, connected to your intuition. Allowing yourself a few more moments here, gently breathing and releasing. And when you're ready, you can begin to slowly breathe normally, bringing your awareness back to the room. And you can gently begin to open your eyes. connecting back to the space that you're in. Did you get an answer to the question that you had? That's great. Continue working with that and going deeper and figuring out more about what that answer really means for you. Tonight, chosen a secret object, as usual, where you use your intuition to connect to what it is. And I'm posting the link in the chat room. So if you cannot guess what it is, well, we're not guessing. If you cannot intuit what it is, then you can go there and see what it actually is. But connect to all of your senses. It's not just sight and vision. It could be smell. It could be a memory that bubbles up that's related to the object. It could be tingling or a nervous sensation, any kind of sensation in your body that relates to what it is. So pay attention to that. Just pay attention to all of the sights, symbols, and sensations, and perhaps it's a emotional memory that comes up and you just feel a feeling. That's okay. Just connect to it, record it if possible, and notice later on when you finally do click through the link how close you were to intuiting the correct object. Maybe you were spot on. That's great. And already in the chat room I see a couple of guesses, a couple of intuitive hits, and I can say you're really far off. It's not fruit tonight. So connect with see what those memories of the fruit that you're mentioning is related to. And Donna in the chat room mentions growling, and she's pretty close. And she says not hungry tummy, so that's a pretty close guess. You're spot on there. Continue working with that sense of growling, and I will move on. Just pay attention to how you feel and what you notice, and if you've gotten similar intuitive sensations to what Donna's mentioning as growling, that's great. Just notice what it is, and when you finally do click on the link, you'll be surprised. And Donna mentioned a gold growl, and that makes tremendous sense. Just keep going with it. And as we're continuing to focus on relationships this week and being present, look to, and ding, 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 Susan in the chat room mentions a lion, and she's exactly correct. Kate mentioned could be a brass bear or an animal. All of these guesses are spot on because when you finally do click on the link, you'll see that it's a little metallic lion. So you might have been sensing the metallicness of the lion or the hardness of the object. And it's not gold, but a lion is gold and it is silver. So just notice your sensations and pay attention to them. And just notice how accurate you were. If you were noticing that it was feeling like it was metallic, then you were very close. You noticed the sounds that it made, again, you were very close. Don't dismiss any of your intuitive hits that come to you because they all can lead to the ultimate end, which is detecting what it is here. And we'll have another intuitive challenge after the break. But again, always remember to stay connected to your intuition and don't be dismissive of anything. Try to incorporate it all. And sometimes some of it will seem meaningless, but it's never totally useless. Taken as a whole, all of the intuitive hits that you were receiving might have led you to be able to determine what it actually was. And good job to Susan for actually determining that it was a lion. And Donna again mentions that she heard the growl, but saw gold, but didn't understand how to balance the two of them. Sometimes maybe it's not possible, but the gold is hard, and the growling is from a lion, and of course they do have golden fur. You might look at it from that vantage point, and just to recognize this and record that in your journal, your intuitive journal, and notice these things for future reference so that you can be better at intuiting in the future. And in the future, it won't be about necessarily a secret object, but it could be, should I take that turn and on this road and go that way, or should I continue going straight? Where will the traffic be? Which way will lead me home faster, for instance? How can I avoid the most traffic? And in that situation, it's instant. You don't have a choice to sit there and wonder what way you should go. You have to go with the instincts that you have in that moment. So it's sometimes about being fast in your evaluation of what the symbols mean. Now on to relationships. We're talking about boundaries, self-image, self-compassion, forgiveness, and I'm going over a number of different teachings. Some of them might hold some small nuggets of truth for you. Some of them might not speak to you. That's okay. Just look at and be willing to look at how they might serve you in some way, and they might not in some cases, but some of the others might just be willing to at least explore them once or twice and see if there's any potential in them for you. It's all about being comfortable with yourself and learning to step into your inner silence. And as I've talked about Tonglen in the past, you might begin to practice that, especially as we step into spring, which allows us to look at our lives from the new beginnings, new starts, initiating new projects, planting seeds for the future. Look to how you might have self-compassion for something you've been wanting to start for a long time but haven't. What is it? Just go after that and try it. Maybe you've been wanting to garden, maybe you've been wanting to go to the gym. Try these things. Make a commitment to yourself to go for a week or to plant a garden and tend to it. Can't obviously commit to only a week, but maybe make a small garden. And there's obviously many other things that you could be doing. I'm just bringing up some of the things that I'm working on for myself. Again, we're talking about compassion and relationships, especially with yourself. Being kind to yourself can be very important. And I'm posting an article from Psychology Today all about being kind into your chat room, which I'll also post in the forum at the end of the show when you can read it. And it's all about being mindful and being kind to yourself, just noticing how you are in relationship to others, and especially yourself. And Joseph Campbell says, the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Now, having some kind words for yourself doesn't mean you have to go around talking like that character from SNL who looks in the mirror and says you're whatever he says. I don't remember it, but it just seems so goofy at the time. Just know that how you're speaking to yourself and others does have impact on your life and theirs. Because not only are you speaking to others, the words that you speak to others are you're speaking to yourself. And you really have more power in your words than you recognize most of the time. Again, recognize that you can use them to spread compassion, plant seeds, and maybe help others to be inspired. And notice how they make you feel. And especially with children today, the words can be very important, and that's why there's the big problem with bullying and whatnot. And there's been some research ongoing about the loneliness that causes, and there's lots of problems with loneliness, but we won't go into that just now. We'll continue. Really, the point here is to simply to find a way to be mindful and fully present of how you're speaking to yourself, how you're speaking to others. And how does this relate to intuition? Well, it relates in the fact that if you're not allowing yourself to be inspired or to inspire others, and you're constantly pulling them down or belittling them, either unconsciously or consciously, it doesn't matter. You're doing the same thing to yourself, and you're dismissing your intuition. You're dismissing your heart and what your heart wants. And it's to recognize that it's okay to pay attention to your heart and to take ownership of your life and to be responsible for your own empowerment. If you're feeling down because your inner critic is constantly chattering away, then you might not be as likely to be able to connect fully with your intuition. It's blocking you. So to find a way to have compassion and to bring compassion to that voice and to ask it what it needs. And there's many ways to do that and to work around that. And with the spring unfolding and the year of the water snake also unfolding, according to Chinese astrology, you might look for ways to address your issues around them rather than trying to take them head on. And we'll be talking about some chanting later on that will help us to do this too, because it's about working with the problem but not necessarily attacking it head on and trying to smash it to smithereens. It's about having compassion for it, whatever that issue is that you have, whether it is the constant inner chatter or it's outer chatter from someone else or yourself. It doesn't matter. It's about bringing compassion to those issues and finding ways to smooth them and heal them. So noticing how you feel, definitely important, and you can start a personal practice just around that, to wake up in the morning and to ask, how do I feel? And perhaps having a mantra or an affirmation that says something like, I feel wonderful today. I'm appreciative of the opportunities I have to address my life in this way, whatever it might be. You have to really come up with your own, but it should be positive sounding. And maybe to begin, just to tell everyone that you know that your personal happiness doesn't depend on them, to let them off the hook in that way, to give them the chance and the space to be their own people and to give yourself your own chance to be your own person. So not to depend on others for happiness, but to grow it within yourself and be happy no matter what those people out there are doing to grow it within yourself. And I'm sure you've heard quotes from the Dalai Lama and Mahatma Gandhi and others all about growing happiness within yourself first, and then that will spread out to the rest of the world. And it's really important to look at your life from that vantage point, because once you're dependent upon someone else for being inspired or happiness, what happens when they leave? What happens when they're not there that day? They don't show up at work that day. How will you inspire yourself? It's about developing it internally for yourself and being mindful of how you're speaking, not only to yourself again, but to others, how you're behaving, notice your body language too. Are you walking with a happy stride, or are you walking slumped and depressed? Of course, there's other ways to walk, but just to notice how you move in the room, how you enter a room, to notice your energy as you enter a room. It's all important. Is it as an active participant in your own life, or is it as a victim? Just to pay attention to that. And even in a moment, as you're having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or having lunch or breakfast, just to notice how the food tastes or the beverage tastes, rather than getting caught up in being on your computer and typing away, and then the food goes cold as you're eating it, or the coffee gets cold. What happens then? Or maybe you drink all the tea, or you drink all your coffee, or eat your lunch and never noticed a mouthful. It's really about paying attention to those small moments, and paying attention to those as they're happening, being in the moment. And yes, you can pour out the cold coffee, but it's noticing the coffee as you're drinking it, not forgetting it, to recognize I had a moment to spend just drinking coffee, rather to be involved in a million different tasks. And this is where listening to yourself really comes into play. Being willing to listen and to notice how you're behaving, how you're acting, what's going on in your mind, what's going on in the outer world. Maybe you're at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks and you're drinking a cup of coffee and it's a scene of complete chaos. Just to notice that. And it doesn't always have to be a reflection of you, but just to notice how it typically is. Sometimes it might be quiet, but sometimes it might be really noisy. Just to notice where you are and what it's typically like. And I have mentioned that it is the year of the water snake, and it's also, we're coming upon spring, which gives you a great opportunity to look at how you might unfold some new aspect of your life, again, that we were talking about earlier, some new practice, begin meditation, maybe to begin working with your chakras. And remember that a strong throat chakra is about being willing to speak your truth, being expressive, being creative, being open. Maybe a practice around your throat chakra, maybe through singing, maybe through public speaking, whatever it is, might help you to open up to helping others hear their truths, but for you to hear yours, because whatever truth that you have to speak is relevant for yourself. You might start a chanting practice as a method to clear the way for new beginnings, new growth, new births. And being thankful for your body, having gratitude for it. Just think about the millions of cells we replace, millions and billions, every week. I don't know how many we replace every day, but I think it's about 8 or 9 months to have a completely new body replaced, which is kind of a miracle when you think about it. So to be thankful for your body, be thankful that it works in whatever capacity that it works, and to acknowledge, yes, I might have pains, but to work on accepting them and work on healing any issues around that. And it really starts with a willingness to make room for the compassionate voice inside of you. How will you let this voice be heard in your life? How can you allow for it in your life? Where is it most needed? And a good way to start might be to simply take a few moments every day and sit in silence and turn inward and just start listening to your inner voice. That could be your challenge for the week, to just sit in silence and wait for a sign or a symbol to come up, or just to notice how you feel while you're sitting there silently. Perhaps you'll notice that you'll get thoughts around, I don't want to be sitting here. I want to be up getting a cup of coffee. Or, I feel really comfortable here. I wish I had more time like this during my day. Just notice whatever passes through your awareness. Listening to your heart, and much like you would listen to someone standing in front of you talking, just give your inner voice your full attention. Pay attention to what it's calling for. It might even be while you're in the shower, or packing your car as you're going on vacation, or as you're washing the dishes from dinner, or on the train, or whatever you're doing during the day, and taking a moment of silence. And don't have to be necessarily completely isolated. You don't have to be a monk in a cave waiting for silence to come. And the more you learn to tune in to your intuition, then the better you'll become. It takes practice. And also recognize, as we were talking about earlier, that your intuition will come in many different ways. You might not necessarily understand them, but to pay attention to them. It's not necessarily always going to be sight. It might be smell. It might be sound. It might be other things like sensations or feelings or emotions or memories that are connected to the intuition. It could be many different things, just to recognize what is your strongest and to recognize your strongest, getting lost in the chat room here, but just to recognize what your strongest senses are and to work with them, but not to be afraid of working with your other senses as well. And a good question to ask, that's what I'm talking about compassion, is how can I seed the voice of compassion now? And listen to the answer that comes. Maybe, again, you'll be guided to work with exercise or planting your own food or talking more about your issues. Or maybe you'll need more time, as Susan says in the chat room, for sleep. Whatever it is, make sure that you make time for it. Just find a way to do that and to give yourself the time and space to do the things that are called for. You might not necessarily understand where you're being guided towards right away, but over time, that guidance will help you to take steps towards healing or changing or shifting whatever is up for you in your life. And Donna mentions compassion for her is a long bath. Well, that's great if that's what you're called to do, but also notice the work around the bath, which can be very meditative and relaxing as well. I know for me, I like to go in and make sure there's the tub is nice and clean, and that whole process can be very relaxing and meditative, and it makes me think, well, how am I cleaning the bathtub? Am I using harsh chemicals, or am I using nice organic things like whatever. We won't go there, but just to notice that how you're cleaning the tub, for instance, and how you're preparing your body for preparing to enter into the water. That could be a whole meditative practice in and of itself, and just to pay attention to that. And we're coming up on break, so I'll welcome a dream when we come back, or any kind of intuitive questions around tarot, or crystals, or runes, or anything of that nature. If you're feeling like you have to ask a question, please come to the chat room at awakenradio.net.
That's the Chihuahua people, and they want you to know that Probiotics Natural Kefir is their choice for healthy living. You want to be empowered from the inside out? Come on over to the Awakened Radio store at awakenedradio.net. Click on our Awakened Store tab, and once there, you'll see the probiotics category. Click that and read all about water kefir. Fermented kefir water, live probiotics that you can flavor with the fruit or fruit juice of your choice. It empowers you from the inside out, and it is fully endorsed by the Chihuahua people in the Devane household. You are listening to Awakened Radio. Join us today at awakenedradio.net. You want to go mobile with Awakened Radio? Tune in to the mobile application at tunein.com. Search for Awakened Radio, and you're ready to take us everywhere.
Welcome to Your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and this show is about everything intuition. And it's brought to you by Intuition by Rob.net. I guess we don't have a caller. I see the caller.
Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. It's Dreamer. I'm the one that has the dream.
Okay.
Okay. What was really quite strange. It was crystal clear. First of all, my dreams aren't ever really crystal clear. And I had an appointment with Ryan Gosling's dad in his company, and this is how the dream starts out. And I've had a dream before because I know I'm at that point where I know I have this appointment with him, and I'm entering the building, and I'm wondering if Ryan's going to be there and he's going to join us for lunch, the lunch appointment. So Ryan walks, he's in the lobby, okay, so I'm walking towards him, so I just, greet him and say, oh, are you going to join us for lunch? And he doesn't really say anything. Well, I've got my arms inside my dress, and it's kind of like a beige, creamy beige dress, and they're stuck inside my dress. And then, I work them out, how to... And then we walk over to, there's like a restaurant table, and we wait for his dad. He's sitting across from me, and we're not saying anything. I have to tell you, I really don't like Ryan Gosling. I saw him in a movie years ago, and he creeped me out. So, anyway, we're sitting there waiting for his dad, and his dad finally comes down. It's a big company. There's a reception desk beyond this table that we're sitting at, and I'm just sitting there staring at the reception desk, waiting for him to show up. Well, he finally shows up, and Ryan comes over and sits by me. It's like a booth table. Ryan comes over and sits next to me, and his dad sits across from me. And so I'm introducing myself, and he, I say, oh, I'm Sharon. He's going. He smiles really big. And then, I get I get a weird feeling. I'm kind of really overly sensitive people, I just don't know, say strange things, and that kind of seems strange to me in front of his son, who I don't know what the meeting's about. So anyway, him and Ryan, we're all going to get up and go to lunch, right? And him and Ryan go over to the left from the booth, and there's people walking back and forth. And so I get lost, but, I don't even turn to really look at them. I'm going towards the reception desk. And that's how the dream ends.
Okay. That's a very long, intense dream.
Yeah, it was for me.
It might help you to break it down into individual scenes at first to begin to look at it more deeply. But if you were going to name this dream like a TV show or a movie, what would you call it?
The confused lunch appointment.
Okay. That's a good start. It really helps you. Usually try to name it with some humor or something that really grabs your attention, but you're new to this, so that's okay. Overall, you said that Ryan creeps you out, but how do you feel about the meeting in general? How do you feel about this dream? How did you feel when you waked up?
That's a good question. I was a little confused.
You felt confused?
I just felt, yeah,
Okay.
and then I was like, well, why did I have that dream? That was really like, first of all, I remember my dreams.
Well, you remember this. That's the key.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This one was crystal clear, yeah.
And in the end, you're walking towards the reception desk, and again, in the dream, you were confused. You didn't know where you were going. You were supposed to be going, I guess, with Ryan and his dad, but you ended up going back to where you came in.
Mm-hmm.
Again, kind of confused, kind of in the opposite direction that you thought you were going.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if it were my dream, I might be looking at how I'm letting other people guide me, even though I don't necessarily agree with them or even like them, in the case of Ryan, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's what I thought it was about.
Yeah, lots of people really like him, though I don't think I've ever seen a movie that I've liked that he's in, but hey.
Yeah, I didn't see his recent work. I only saw this one old movie, and I didn't like the character.
Yeah, he's the same one in every movie. Anyway. Anyway, it's really to look at that. What aspect of Ryan is in your life? Who is Ryan in our life? And to pay attention to how you're letting them have more space than they deserve, and maybe it's time to take back their power and give it to yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes. I kind of had a sense that's what it might be about. In the past I've made wrong choices, but maybe this time I was going away from that.
Right.
Mhm. Okay.
Come back somehow to bring that into your life, and that's where the point of the dream interpretation is to really wake that up inside of you now. So to honor the part of you that respects you, and to really believe in yourself, and not to give that power away to other people.
Mhm.
Sense?
Mhm.
And maybe to begin doing some practice around that, whatever that might be, whatever you feel is appropriate. Maybe that might be not listening to other people, maybe not necessarily not listening, but to start to speak up about your own opinions, especially in meetings. So to have a voice.
Oh.
If
my God.
sing, then that might help too to open up your voice. And I was talking about the throat chakra, to do things around that, just up, to start to sing at home alone, so that you feel comfortable having a voice.
I sing a lot by myself.
That's great. You to do that.
Yeah.
Sing songs.
I still have to practice.
Does that make sense? To sing songs that are speaking up about having a voice. So probably, anything by like Aretha Franklin or something like that with big booming vocals.
Yeah, because when we were sitting there, I really didn't say anything to either of them.
You didn't speak.
I didn't say very much anyway. So, yeah, that's entirely, I see that.
And
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that helps. Yeah. Okay. And my dreams are getting like more crystal clear. It's really because once one of them opened up, then I keep having different ones now. Is that how that works when you finally remember one?
Record them, write them down, journal them, and you'll start to remember more and more and more. And you don't have to work dream, but it helps if you begin to integrate the message that you're bringing in some way, like singing, whatever, whatever, to open up your voice and have respect for yourself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I got you. Okay. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it.
Please remember compassion when you're looking at your dreams. So they're not saying that you're wrong or bad. It's just they're trying to point something to be gentle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. And that was a pretty great dream. If anyone else has a dream, I see that Susan might, but I'll continue talking about compassion. If you don't want to call in, that's okay. Now, I've been talking about compassion and meditation because that helps us to give ourselves a solid center and helps us to work towards that, to be grounded, to be centered, to feel calmer, to feel more readily able to handle any situation that we approach. And it's not, as Pema Chodron says, it's not about trying to throw ourselves away and become something better. It's about befriending who we are already. The ground of practice is you or me, or whoever we are right now. Oh, excuse me, Susan's on the line. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? This is Rob.
Oh, hi, it's Susan calling.
Hi. Did you have a dream?
No, it was Donna suggested in the chat that I call in. It's the song Horse with No Name. It has been in my head when I'm awake and when I'm asleep for like 2 weeks now.
I'm not familiar with the lyrics, but I've heard it, of course.
Yeah, there's a lyric that I wasn't aware of, just knowing the song back from when I was a lot younger, that says, well, the line is, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can remember your name, because there ain't no one for to give you no pain. But there's a line in there, on the 9th day I let the horse run free because the desert had turned to the sea, which I interpreted, to me the horse is the free spirit, and the sea being the emotional body had sort of been awoken. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. I really connected with the desert when you're talking about it. That really feels relevant to me. Maybe it's about feeling like, you're isolated or alone out there, or really connecting, looking at that as to recognize all the people that are around you, and to recognize that you're not necessarily in the desert anymore.
Yeah. No, that feels very accurate.
To really connect that. And to maybe...
Sorry, I hear you very well.
So maybe go get a horse statue and put it somewhere where you're going to walk by it a lot to remember to have compassion for yourself, or a poster or something.
Yeah, I actually loaded a photo of a horse running free onto my computer screen for my screensaver.
To really connect with that energy of the horse, and maybe that's through active imagination or meditation, but to spend some time talking with the horse, because the horse serves in that obviously you're not getting through the desert without the horse. It'll take you forever to go through the desert. But with a horse, you know, you can get through a lot faster.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I've had songs stick in my head before, but I've never had a song stick in there like this. You know, I mean, I dream it. Oh, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing during the day these days, I find myself humming it.
Well, maybe to give the horse a name, too. And to...
Whoa.
Life.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Give the horse a name.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to do that. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
I love those aha moments. Drunkenly. Thanks, Donna. Okay. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Susan.
Bye.
Bye. You can call in like Susan just did by calling 334-649-7204, or adding Awaken Radio to Skype and connecting to us that way. If you have a dream or you're remembering a song like that, that's okay. We can talk about it. They all make sense in some way. Don't be afraid to find a way to work with it in your life. They make sense. It just takes sometimes asking for help. And I'm more than willing to talk about it with you. Again, we were talking about compassion and self-relationship, and we'll continue to do that unless someone else has a question. They can call in and talk to me about it. I guess the most important thing that you can do when we're talking about listening to our hearts, listening to our intuition, is just to acknowledge what your inner voice is saying to you and let the message sink in. Just pay attention. Just like in meditation, it's not just about sitting or just listening. It's how you focus, how you pay attention, what's going on, and to notice, are you being kind and compassionate to yourself? Are you giving this inner voice space to even be heard? And to notice where your emotions are, and of course to have compassion for where you are. We all slip up, we all feel depressed, we all feel happy, we all feel anger or frustration. It's just to bring your focus and your awareness to where you are in the present moment, and to recognize wherever you are, it has the capacity to help or shift or heal you. To recognize the power of your emotions over your body, and to recognize the marvelous capacity of your body that it's taken you to this point, and to recognize how marvelous that is. And an exercise that we can do is to, again, sit comfortably and just to do a body scan, to feel in to how you feel right now, and to recognize any points in your body that feel stressful or bringing you a message or tight or feel happy, or just feel anything at all, just to notice, to feel into your body. And to recognize how it feels, and to spend a few moments there. And maybe if you feel stress in a particular area of your body, you can bring breath to it, as we did and do in the early meditation to start the show. But just to bring breath into that area and to notice when you do that, how does it feel? Is your breath even? Is it flowing? Or is it a struggle to do that? Not a struggle, but difficult. Is it smooth, flowing? And to notice what's coming up for you while you're scanning. To notice any memories, emotions, feelings that come up. Acknowledge them and let them go. And then just to move on from that, to let it happen for you. And just to notice what comes up and to maybe ask, what should I be working on now? How might compassion help me to work with this? And how can it help me to be in better relationship with myself and others as I heal this? And what message does this have for me? Whatever, maybe your shoulders feel tight, maybe your knees feel crinkly, whatever it is, just ask how it might be related to being in better relationship to yourself. Maybe it's finding a way to acknowledge that you're happy about being able to jog the 5 miles and to give yourself some downtime occasionally, not to overstress your body. Yes, exercise is good, but it's also important to look at the opposite effect. How much is too much versus how much is not enough, and just to pay attention to that and to recognize the power that your body does have, and to recognize how often you bring full attention to it. And doing this scanning exercise can be very, very helpful to that. And back to the song that we were just talking about, we have a mention of totem animal, and that's very, very possible. You might like to go into a meditation if you've had a dream about an animal and talk with it. You could always consult the books by Ted Andrews and others, but always start by attempting to look at it for yourself. So you might go into a meditation and talk with your horse or your donkey or whatever it is that's showing up in your life or missing in your life, and ask, what did you represent for me? What do you represent for me? What needs to shift or change in my life so that I can be in better relationship with you? And just to notice that, and to spend some time there, have compassion for it. It's not necessarily that you're wrong or bad. It's not about any of that. It's about connecting with what your animal totem means for you, especially in a dream or as what we talked about tonight, the song. It's still important for you. Now, another exercise that you might do is take something that's really bothering you. You have frustration, anxiety around, and you can close your eyes and bring up that feeling and see where it causes tension in your body. And again, you can breathe into it, or you can ask, why the tension? Why is that coming? Excuse me. And just to know that it's calling to be addressed. Something deeper is something calling to be addressed. And stress can lead to insomnia, immune system problems, nervousness, lack of energy, on and on and on, ulcers, whatnot. And we're trying to avoid those kinds of things. We're trying to listen to our bodies. And these types of exercises can help you to connect in and truly listen. And I had wanted to get to chanting tonight, but now we're about 5 minutes till the end, so that's not going to be possible. But know that that'll be a topic for next week, and we'll talk about some methods for chanting, for letting go and connecting more deeply with ourselves, and maybe even some other things around contemplative prayer. But for this week, pay attention to your body and begin to notice how you behave and act and speak in certain situations. And just to notice, record it, and see if there's anything you'd like to change. Now, thanks for joining me this week. You can connect with me on Facebook at Your Unfolding Senses, or you can connect with me on Twitter at Intuition by Rob, and you can connect with me on my website at intuitionbyrob.net. Feel free to ask me any questions related to a dream or learning tarot or any of that through email or on Twitter. I'm more than happy to connect with you through all of the social medias. I'm mostly on Twitter and Facebook. Feel free to connect with me there. You can also come to the awakenedradio.net forum, and I post the show topics right there, what I talked about during the evening, and you can ask questions there as well. So feel free to ask me anything during the week, especially about what I talked about this week or any of the other weeks. Again, you can listen to my archives on Twitter, on iTunes. Just go into the store, go into podcasts, and search on Rob Ragozzine, and all my shows will come up. Or you can go to TalkShoe and do the same thing. We're coming to the end. So again, I'd like to thank you all. And I have a quote that I'd like to share. It's about, again, connecting to your body. Can't seem to find it, but here it is. What I am looking for is not out there, it is in me, from Helen Keller. So throughout the week, as I was saying, just pay attention to your body and how it helps you to relate to the world around you, and just have a great and wonderful week. And come on back next week, and be talking about compassion and dreams and tarot again. So have a great week. Thanks for joining me here.
'Cause we're awakened, you won't catch us sleeping through the fight. And like we're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened, come and join our love, it's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with might. 'Cause we're awakened, you won't catch us sleeping through the fight. And like we're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened, come and join our love, it's so